Well,
Is it? Is that sound power?
no, I just let it run. You talking about voice operated or voice activated?
Yeah, voice activated.
It's got a voice activation thing on it, but I don't know. I think I miss stuff when I use that, so I just turned it on.
Well, I had been made T5, which is equivalent to a technical rank, same as a corporal, a two-striper, an electrician.
Because you were,
As I was basically an electrician.
yeah, because you were skilled. I mean, that kind of deal.
Yeah, I had acquired skill in the electrical field, and then there was the opening in the table of organization for a T4 electrician, so they moved me up to T4. By the time we got to Bizerti, they decided that I would better serve as a line sergeant or a squad sergeant in the line. So a platoon in the combat engineers at that time was 3 squads, 3 rifle squads they called it, and 1 heavy weapon squad. The rifle squads consisted of 12 men. They had in the squad was a 1 VAR man, a Browning automatic rifle, a bazooka. No, the bazooka was in the heavy weapons. A rifle grenade, and the rest were rifle, Koran, or M1s we had called them. The non-coms carried at that time either Tommy gun, Thompson submachine guns, or carbines, which was a 30 caliber lighter weapon with a much smaller charge. The muzzle velocity was much lower than the M1. The M1 muzzle velocity was 3,000 feet. And I don't recall exactly what the muzzle velocity was on a carbine, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 2,000 feet. In other words, it was a much lighter charge. It was a much lighter rifle and much easier to carry. So
the officer got it, huh?
So, well, non-coms got them. It was a weapon of choice at that time. Submachine guns, Thompson submachine guns, were so damn heavy.
Yeah.
We carried those for a while, and they were only accurate by spraying 45 caliber rounds. And I fired many of them that you could correct your fire in the daytime by watching the projectile go through the air.
Yeah.
But the mass of the projectile was such that if it hit anyone in the arm, it'd tear an arm off.
Yeah.
And so it was an effective weapon, and we gradually, over time, used it only as a night weapon. We took them on patrols at night.
Yeah.
Because of the rapid fire, the volume of fire that you could put out, and you couldn't aim, and it just was. Yeah. It was a deterrent too, because everyone hated the 45 caliber. Being hit by one, particularly our friendly enemies, they didn't like them at all.
Yeah. Well, as far as in North Africa and all, then you guys went from the Spanish-Moroccan border up to Bizerti, and that was just pretty much just a ride, huh?
Well, no, we stopped off in Oran, in Algiers.
Yeah, just for a.
Well, we were there for a short time.
Yeah. Oran was back down that way.
I know. We stopped here at Slidovici. I think that's where it was. And then proceeded from there on. From there, we went on into Tunisia. Ferryville, you don't see it on here. Lake Missouri, you don't even show that, really. There it is here. Mature, we came into Mature, went on into the bottom side of Lake Missouri, which was Ferryville, and we swung to the right of Lake Missouri. And we were there when the fighting in Africa was over. That was completed at that time. I visited Carthage out here. I was hit, a grenade exploded. Probably 10 feet or 15 feet, and probably 4 feet off the ground from me. And it destroyed the stock of my rifle. And I was hit in the chest and in the leg from shrapnel. I was hit in the finger. And when I got out of the hospital, the outfit was stationed to the east side of Lake Bizerti. We could look across the lake. We're up in here, I guess. We could look across the lake into Bizerti. And of course, we'd sit out at night. We'd sit and watch the show anti-aircraft fire in Bizerti as they were marshaling the invasion craft for the invasion of Sicily in the Lake Bizerti, and they were over every night. They'd come over and try to bomb it, and the anti-aircraft gun and the searchlights were beaming up at the aircraft, and we'd sit out there, and which was a dangerous thing to do because all anti-aircraft guns shells don't detonate in the air.
Or even if they do, there's
And
pieces coming back down.
Anything that's going up is coming back down. And it used to ring all around, you know. And we sat out there with our helmets on, of course, but we'd sit out and watch the show. And they'd catch a plane in the searchlights, and if one would catch him, and they were operated by radar, they would catch the one, and when they did, all of them would swing over to this one, and they'd light him up until they shot him down. And they'd get him. If they caught him in the lights, he was gone.
Yeah.
And then again, when they come down, they were coming down, depending on which way they were headed. You know?
Yeah.
And they'd, it was quite a show. It would look, of course, looking at it from our perspective across the lake from it. And the lake was, we were probably 5 miles maybe from them across the lake. It would look as though a gnat couldn't crawl through the anti-aircraft fire going up from all the ships, from all the land-based, and it was just a tremendous amount of stuff going into the air.
Yeah.
And they shot down quite a number of planes there too. But by the time my outfit was loaded to make the invasion of Sicily, I was left behind because I still was on limited service.
Just from the, for what it's worth, department, how did you manage to, I mean, in the route from Morocco to Lake Bizertia, was that a
battles? No.
Yeah, no.
No.
So it was. We
were coming along behind
the
fighting at that time.
There's already down here even.
Hmm?
There's already down there even. I like to see the whole picture, you know, the whole
the basic fighting was completed.
So you guys were kind of coming out and telling because you'd been over the Spanish
We
Rock
had been
border
over in the Spanish Moroccan front.
Yeah.
Until we got back over here.
So whose hand grenade did you get tangled up with? You guys just tossing one back and forth out?
Oh no, this was a different thing. It was I was firing rifle grenades at a tank. and the grenade exploded on the end of the rifle of one of the guys that was there.
What, you were shooting at just a practice target, or
it was a dead tank.
Are you saying you shot yourself?
No.
You were wounded by friendly fire, though.
Yeah, friendly fire.
I thought you said you were
No, somebody
shooting at
was.
somebody else was. I thought you said you were. We were. You were.
What was this, man?
Who was
The
shooting?
rifle
Who was
grenade.
shooting?
That was someone else shooting.
Oh, on our side.
It's
And
friendly fire.
Did I guess he probably got somewhat spoiled and crowned up from that too, huh? Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it wouldn't. You wouldn't get a backlash from it.
No, I don't think he was hit.
Yeah.
Now, there was 5 of us hit.
I just was curious because I mean, that's what the way I had an image of it was. You guys came in behind the main.
The blast went away from him.
Yeah, spread.
But and spread.
I just was curious about how that happened with you guys in relatively quiet zones at that time.
Oh, well, there was never such thing as a quiet zone.
Yeah, well, I guess
mean,
relatively speaking.
Well, if there was a safe spot, that should have been it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there was, as long as you're screwing around with explosives, rifles, Tommy guns, grenades, nothing's really
But
safe.
there was always enemy there around.
You never knew. You never knew what was around.
So anyway,
Plus the fact that you always had a bunch of Arabs around there.
Yeah.
They're
worth shooting.
bunch of people.
you guys didn't shoot enough of them. Well,
Well,
you missed your opportunity, but there it is. Anyway, I didn't mean to take your chain of thought, but I was curious about how that had happened.
and then, at any rate, I was unfit for duty, so I was left out of the initial invasion of Sicily. I was left behind there on the shores of this Lake Bizerti with 27 half-tracks and anti-tank guns and all of the drivers and
You like Missouri, pretty good picture there on page 63. Anyway, yeah, you were. So you had all this equipment.
I had all this equipment, and I was the senior officer. I was a buck sergeant, and was the senior non-com in command of this force. Quite a it was quite a force too. I mean, 27 half tracks, the drivers, and there was there must have been 35 or 40 men that was left behind for different reasons. Reasoning, unfit for combat duty
for logistics or whatever. Yeah.
Well, what's non-combat? I don't understand. They're all combat people, aren't they?
We were combat people, but we were non-combat because we were injured or unfit for combat duty.
For one reason or another.
We were listed as you're not fit for combat, so you're non-combat. Okay, so we missed the invasion of Sicily. Our outfit went in at Licata. Licata, Sicily. Go back now. The invasion, as the invasion group was making up and leaving to invade Sicily, the Germans knew they were coming, and they came over and bombed the invasion fleet as it's proceeding toward Italy. At the same time, within 5 minutes after the German bombers left, the 82nd Airborne and DC-3s were going over to make their drop. They were going to bail out and over. And the Navy, of course, there were aircraft, and they didn't know, and so they fired on them, and they shot down 27 plane loads of paratroopers. This was friendly fire. So this
Good Lord, yeah.
this happened on the initial invasion. This was the night of the invasion that was going on. We loaded on the boats to follow them in. And the night that we loaded on in the afternoon, and that night they came over and bombed us. We were on the ships. And I was up on the weather deck of the thing, and just all you could do was lay on the weather deck and watch them up there. You mean watch the attic fire and listen to the din, the explosions, and we had ships or small craft running in and out of the invasion fleet, or the fleet that we were the second wave or second shift coming in, with smoke, so that it would keep them from seeing a target to drop. But they dropped 2 bombs which straddled the LST that I was on. One hit on one side of it, one on the other. It detonated, and of course, there again, you scared the hell out of you, but that was all it could do. So, we went on into Lakata. We made a mad dash through the highway from Lakata on up to Palermo, along the road and up to Palermo, where I rejoined my outfit, went on through to finish off the Sicilian campaign.
And who did you go with when you left Africa? When you left that lake? What, you were non-combat, but who did you go with? Just
I was in charge of our group.
Is it just your small group went by yourself?
Well, on our particular ship, there was 27 aircraft.
You got on the ship
with our group.
Along with a lot of others.
No, because that was a shipload with all the trucks, the tank, the half tracks, the trucks, the guns, whatever we had. Yeah. That was one LST load. So we loaded that up, and then we made the mad dash across Sicily to Palermo. We joined the outfit, and then we proceeded up along the northern section of it to the, well, we didn't get all the way to the end. And then we pulled back to Lakata, and we stayed back down here for, well, probably a couple of weeks. And loaded back up and went back to Africa. This is when, at the same time they did that, they went across the Straits of Messina on to Italy. This was done by other troops. They pulled us back to Africa, and we were attached to the 82nd Airborne now, a branch, and we were made up the brigade. We were to go, our duty was to go into, orders were to go in by boat up the Tiber River with portions of the 82nd Airborne to Rome, to take the bridges across the Tiber River at Rome, the major arterial highways, and hold them for 24 hours. And if we weren't relieved, to destroy them, blow them out. That was our job, was to blow the bridges. And we had a brigade of troops, supposedly, which was basically a regiment of airborne troops with us.
I don't know what a brigade or regiment really consists of.
A regiment is 3 battalions.
Still.
All right, well, I'm going into it.
Right.
A battalion is 3 companies. You got 3 companies make a battalion, 3 battalions make a regiment.
What's a company?
3 regiments make a division.
Okay.
What's a
company is basically, our company was about 212 men, full strength.
So there are 3 of those in a...
You had 3 companies plus our group, our battalion, to make this invasion of Italy by boat up the river, to take these bridges and hold them. If we weren't relieved, we were to destroy the bridges and infiltrate the mountains back down to South Italy. They were thinking in terms then of these troops coming up, us destroying these bridges, and they thought that Italy would surrender. Okay, so it was canceled because Italy did surrender, and then they thought, well, there'll be no fighting in Italy. So we made up the invasion to go into Salerno. The 3rd Division, which is Texas, the 36th Division was the Texas Guard Unit Division. Now your three regiments or infantry regiments is a division. In that you have a battalion of artillery, and you have a battalion of combat engineers. You got a company of combat engineers with each battalion, and you got attached troops. You'd have a certain amount of armor.
Yeah.
You'd have a certain amount of anti-tank armament. You would have support troops in the division.
Yeah.
So I mean, the three basics was the three infantry regiments, the battalion of combat engineers, your heavy weapons groups and whatever. You had a heavy weapon company and those things too. But at any rate, Italy surrendered, so they thought there'd be no fighting in Italy, and so we made up the invasion of Salerno. Since they had surrendered, there was no pre-bombardment of the beach, and so the first two waves that hit the beach of the 36th Division was annihilated. They were destroyed because the Germans were practicing anti-invasion maneuvers at Salerno, and their armor was right behind the dune lines. And
So even though Italy had surrendered, the Germans were still there.
Still there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Where's Salerno?
That's right. Right there.
Oh.
We hit that September the 9th.
So the first two waves got pretty beat up. Huh?
Now,
That's even a closer, larger map.
This
That's
one
Sicily.
is an island by
Yeah,
itself.
This is Sicily.
That's the boot, or
yeah.
off the boot.
But then this
That's Salerno.
yeah.
Salerno, we went in there, and they used us as infantry there. The 45th Division, 36th, the 45th Division went in to help to relieve the 36th Division, and they were encircled. A good portion of them were. And so we were supposed to go and relieve them, or break through to them. It didn't happen. Anyway, we put up defensive positions north of Salerno. I don't give the names of the little towns that were there.
You remember what the name was?
I'm trying to. I thought I'd remembered it, but
They may have. It's probably as detailed as the map as it. I think. Yeah.
it was up in here, I think. Anyway, we were put in defensive positions. This is where the German armor come out and caught us out in the middle of the field, and I laid down in the high grass in a little bit of defilade and crawled back into the edge of the woods and dug a big hole and thought that was the end of the whole story. And during the night, I didn't hear it. I went to sleep, I guess, and I didn't hear it. Anyway, during the night, an M10 tank destroyer, which has a 3-inch naval rifle on it. It's M10 was basically a tank, but this was a mobile tank destroyer. It had 1-inch armor, which was not very heavy. And they pulled that up in back of us. And the next morning, the Germans were going to come break through. Well, we'd been told that you don't come out. This is where they started burning papers. They figured we were off the beachhead. They were going to throw us off. But the Germans, the next morning in this field that we had been caught out in the day before, out of the woods on the far side come 5 German tanks. And in back of me, I heard this motor start up. And oh hell, there's one back of us already, you know. And I heard there was a blast, muzzle, and then there was 5, just like you were firing a semi-automatic rifle. And what he'd done, his first shell he'd hit with the HE, high explosive, to knock down a little tree that was in the way. And he put 5 rounds through there and killed those 5 tanks.
Huh.
And they pulled back, and that was the major battle at that time. However, now, we had been calling artillery fire from the British monitors. The British monitors was nothing in the world but floating guns. They had 2 14-inch rifles on these things. And it fired at 2,000-pound projectiles. And they were firing those in close support. We were calling naval gunfire for anti-tank.
Hoping to hit them, huh?
Yeah, well, if you come close to them, you got them.
Yeah.
But of course, you couldn't call fire too close to you. Hell, they'd get you too. Because this was a hell of an explosion when those things went off. Yeah. And anyway, we survived it. We proceeded then up through
The
There's one
Salerno was
I don't know if you need it.
I see a Nosura and some other little blips over
We don't
there.
have. We need some big foreign
Salerno.
detail bigger
Well, I
than
figured
that.
if he
If
got
he-
into this and he remembered a lot of detail and
He does.
well and I figured if we went through it
Yeah.
with just
then you could pick up later.
then we could go
get
back
the
and
outline.
that's right. I
Yeah.
mean that's my sense of it was
Yeah.
if we picked up an outline of it and got it chronological and then went back we'd pick up a lot of detail and maybe not but
I went from Salerno up through Avellino, up through Benevento.
Gosh, we could
and-
visit Italy and he'd know where he was.
Yeah.
And then,
bet it's changed.
no, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same at all. And went up as far as the Walterno River.
This is after the field we're talking about, after your
Yeah, well, this was-
experience with.
This is as they were pulling back.
So,
We were advancing.
so you got on the beach in Salerno and went on inland. By the time you hit the beach in Salerno, the ruckus had kind of calmed down there a little bit on the beach, huh?
No, because where we were at that point, wherever you were, that was the furthest point of penetration.
Yeah, I
like
see.
that.
Yeah.
They were just, it was very unstable arrangement. There was no, the beachhead was very restricted. The front lines were the dune lines.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the
Only
further,
defensive cover and stuff.
that was it. There was nothing there that you could, it was a very, very unstable place to be.
Yeah.
It was not some place to go.
Not a thing you did for
No.
vacation or for a trip with family sort of thing. Yeah.
As we were running for the beach, they were firing at us. I mean, they were trying to take us out on the way in.
Was this? That's. Yeah. So you moved on up to those other towns you were talking about.
Yeah, we moved on up. Well, in other words, we started going inland
Yeah.
and up into the mountains.
Yeah.
We crossed the Rapido River. I think that was the first one we went across there.
You might see it on this map too if it's a river.
What's that kind of details of all the war and the
Various.
paths that the different armies took? and
Yeah,
so forth.
pretty much.
But it all should be there somewhere then, shouldn't it?
Yeah. If you go in.
More detail.
Well, that's pretty far inland there, huh?
Yeah, well, Benevento was in here.
They did go pretty far in then.
I was back in the mountains. I'm trying to find the Rapido River, but I don't see it.
I have heard, seen, or something about the repeater. Was that the line that the demarcation between the? There it is.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, Volturno was down here. This is a Volturno.
Mm-hmm.
And get myself lined up here. This is Turna. Across the Volturno there. Venafro, okay. I was on this side of the river all the way up to Venafro, and we crossed it here. Okay. We got here, we became static. The things kind of quieted down. And so they gave us passes back to Naples. No. Yeah, Naples. That's when I went to Pompeii. Saw Vesuvius and that.
Yeah.
And we went down to Pompeii and looked at the ruins of the people have excavated a lot more of it now than they had then. But they had the mummies that were laying there yet, you know, in there where the ash got them and asphyxiated them and what have you. It was, and the homes and the tile work in them were beautiful. There was some beautiful things there. But anyway, by the time we got to okay, by the time we got ready to cross the Volturno River at Venafro, we were flanking over to the right now, and I was made platoon sergeant. In other words, I stepped up out of the squad position into a platoon.
And a platoon is a?
It's 3 squads, rifle squads, and 1 heavy weapons squad.
And what's a squad?
12-man squads.
So 36. 3 squads in a platoon, did you say?
There's 3 rifle squads and a heavy weapon.
Oh, so there's 4.
Heavy weapons had 50 caliber, 30 caliber machine guns, 60 millimeter mortars, anti-tank, 57 millimeter anti-tank gun, half track. The rifle platoons had the bazooka, rifle grenade, VAR, each one of them. And a squad had a squad sergeant plus a corporal. So you had 4 buck sergeants and 4 corporals, and a platoon sergeant was a staff sergeant.
Well, that's 36 men then. 36 men.
48.
Well, then you had
Right,
medics.
48. That's right, 48.
You had medics.
Plus, yeah, okay.
You had 2 medics to platoon. And then, well, you had a first lieutenant who was the platoon leader, and you had this platoon sergeant. Then we went on to up to we put a Bailey Bridge across the Volturno River.
See, you were doing Corps of Engineer stuff.
Hmm?
See, you were doing some Corps of Engineer stuff or some.
Well, once in a while we did.
Yeah.
Not much.
Combat engineering.
We didn't do a lot. Well, we did it at
Yeah.
night. See, we had to put things together at night because we were in advanced positions.
Yeah.
We had to put something in so we could get troops across.
And equipment and
And
supplies
equipment,
and
yes,
stuff. Yeah.
across to them.
Yeah.
This was at the beginning of the Battle of Monte Cassino.
Yeah.
And Monte Cassino was just up the valley from where we were.
Quite a write up on that.
Yeah, well, Monte
here.
Casino was quite a battle.
Yeah. I don't mean to get you
You
ahead.
had
I
nothing
just,
to do with the Messina, that was something big happened there, didn't it,
What,
Messina?
you mean the,
Well, I see a little on Messina, and it
Rings a
reminds me
bell.
that there was something happened there. Oh, yeah, it's the very,
where
it's
is it?
between Sicily and Italy.
That's the Straits of Messina. No, I
Straits.
had nothing to do with there.
No, you didn't. But wasn't there some big battle?
Yeah,
there?
they crossed there. They crossed from Sicily to
Who's they?
Italy.
You.
A part of the American troops.
Oh, well, you did. Well, I hear you
We
speak of it.
didn't.
Oh,
We
didn't you?
No.
I don't know where I've heard of it so much, but I've heard of it.
Well,
a lot, because it was
that was a part
there
of
was
it.
an important battle there, or was there not?
Messina's right on the tip of,
Yeah.
and the Straits of Messina is just that little bit of
Yeah.
water between the
Yeah.
toe of Italy and Sicily.
Was there any big battle, or just that it was?
No, there was a
well-known-
big battle there
It was a
to take
well-known
Messina.
place. Yeah. Okay. I guess-
But because this was the end, that you're running them off of there, and Italy was still in the war then, and there was you'd pushed everybody up in this corner.
well,
So then they just followed them right across the Straits of Messina and into Italy, and they started working their way up the toe. That was when they pulled us back to make this run at Rome.
Okay.
If I'd made that run at Rome, there was a good chance I wouldn't be here.
Oh, well, see, things are always worked out.
Yeah.
It seems like it. His case.
Yeah, for most folks. The folks that
That are left.
things didn't work out for, we don't hear about that. That's because they aren't telling
They
about
don't
it.
hear
about
to
it,
tell it.
yeah.
Yeah. Some of their friends.
We lost a bunch of people.
Well, I hear you talk about 27
Plane load.
plane loads. Just that one little tiny incident. That's a lot of people there
Yeah, well, that was
to help make an invasion, and they got rid of those
just
people.
part of the.
We could have, if things like that didn't happen, it might have been over sooner even.
Well, they wouldn't have had near as many casualties, but we had a lot of friendly fire
Yeah,
casualties in our own
because they
outfit.
couldn't communicate like we can now.
Well, even today they still do it.
Oh
They
yeah,
still do it.
I know, but you
It's
couldn't
always going
coordinate.
to happen. You can't have that much different. There's no way that you can have direct communication with everyone that's doing this. The thing.
There also
happens-
is not much time to deal with a lot of that.
The thing
too.
is
You know,
it happened with us a couple of times. The bombers, for example, one time now, at Venafro. They made this evacuation hospital center, and they put a general hospital in there. A tank, it was tents and what have you. This was a gathering point of casualties from Monte Cassino and the whole Italian front up there. And they were bringing them all back down here to Venafro into the hospitals. One afternoon, we sat and watched a flight of American bombers bomb the hell out of it. Out of the hospital. They got the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And we're running around trying to get them to stop bombing, waving and everything else at them. Of course, they can't see you. But it does it. We advance. Okay. You have a line of demarcation. This is an area that you're in. Okay. Now you're given a job, say, to go from here to there. And this is where you're supposed to be at such and such time. There's nothing there. I mean, you got nothing. So you go over here. All of a sudden you're getting strafed and dive bombed.
Yeah.
With your own planes. You know where you are. They don't know where you are.
Yeah.
And all they see is a bunch of troops down here.
Where they're not supposed to be any
Yeah.
friendly troops, so yeah, they
Yeah,
assume,
it's open games, yeah.
Yeah.
Trucks, what have you. So they started using these, and I see they use it in Desert Storm. They started putting on the tops of the vehicles of these
emblems.
No, not emblems. Bright glowing. Not a banner, but a big wash of cloth, or not cloth, but material, about as big as this tablecloth, on the tops of tanks and trucks and what have you. These are us, we were saying to them.
Yeah.
And so they finally started doing that. That stopped a lot of the stuff. But it didn't stop a lot of the combat units, because the combat units, they were mostly working. close to the chest as you could. They didn't want people to know where they were.
Yeah.
We didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't want them to know where we were. And if we could sneak in and do something without them knowing it, so much better. And if we could get behind their lines and do it, we did it. We were behind their lines several times. I've been 5 miles behind the main lines.
Yeah.
But you sure as hell didn't want them to know, and you couldn't tell your own people where you were. So if there was any incoming artillery or anything happened, aircraft, whatever, you were there.
Just
That
have
was
to
it.
take it. Yeah.
That's just part of the
Hazards of such a thing.
hazards of the job, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we crossed, we built this little bridge across.
I'm gonna stop this and put a new tape in it.